And now I will call the calendar to see what cases we have respondents and plaintiffs here on today. Case number 1 on today's calendar is 21N00009, DeKalb County, Georgia versus 3237 Robinson Avenue in Scottdale.
Your Honor, Gabriel Daniel here on behalf of the county. I just want to confirm that 3227 Robinson.
My calendar says yes, 3227 Robinson Avenue. That's what my calendar says. And has that case been dismissed?
Yes, Your Honor, that case has been dismissed.
Case number 2, 21N0. Yes.
I'm here on that case. You and I have seen each other before. It was dismissed. I received an email just 30 minutes ago. And if I may, just would like to make a couple of comments about it.
Yes, sir.
This action was brought back in 2021.
Yes.
There was a house found on a property, and I was tagged by code enforcement, being told I had to remove that house. So I sent crews out, removed all the rubble, and then we got into a sort of a constant loop of having to get a demolition permit to remove the foundation. To do that, I had to get a survey. Once my surveyors took a look at the property and looked at the DeKalb County tax assessor's plat, they said, "John, that's not your property. The property adjacent to yours is the one with the house on it. The house is located on 3231. Shame on me for not looking at the tax plat and looking at the shaded plats that show houses versus vacant lots. But I've now spent $8,000 and a year and a half of time kind of wrangling over this. I would like to say that all the gentlemen I've worked with in DeKalb County, Attorney Daniel, Officer Anderson, Officer Jordan, have been completely cordial and pleasant to work with the entire time. But somewhere along the way, a mistake was made, and we've all spent a lot of time on this process, and I've spent a lot of money, and I still have a vacant lot next to that foundation that the county would still like to have removed. So somewhere along the way, somebody made an error when I got served on this case, and that's chewed up a year and a half of everybody's time, including yours.
Mr. Daniel?
Your Honor, I mean, I think the code enforcement department that goes up to properties they believe to be out of compliance. We serve the owners. We go through this process, to correct those violations. I believe the county believed that to be the property of Mr. Mangum. It appears until the recent weeks when he had a survey done, Mr. Mangum also believed that to be his property. We hate to bring the incorrect party, into court, but I believe that the county did make good faith actions at all times concerning this case.
I remember buying a house on Carter Road. It's my first house I ever bought. And it was between Carter Road and for some reason I'm thinking it's Fairley Street, but Line Street. And I got a tax bill. Said I hadn't paid my taxes. And I knew I'd paid my taxes because it's part of my mortgage. So I spent a great deal of my time trying to figure out what was going on, pulled up the county records, and saw that 2 houses behind my house, they wanted me to pay the taxes on those 2 houses. And I spent about 2 hours at the tax office trying to explain that to them. While I'm hearing that it was an honest mistake, I would think that we would be very careful when we're trying to take people's property and tear it down, that we know whose property we're trying to take and tear down. And that means you need to look at all the records and measure things off. We should know, even without a survey. You should be able to eyeball stuff and figure out which property's what. But maybe this one was a little different. But like Mr. Mangum said, he's out $8,000 for tearing down something that the county has benefited from. And this court can't help you with that, Mr. Mangum. But I would certainly hope that somebody's willing to sit down with you, figure out a solution. I'm sure you're not going to get any compensation for all the hours you've been on the phone and meetings you've been in.
Your Honor, you and I know
Not something that wasn't even yours, but I certainly hear your frustration, and in magistrate court, I don't think I would have a remedy for you.
you and I know that the CAB sovereign immunity is going to keep any remuneration from happening. And I'm not asking for that. I should have looked at the tax plat from the very beginning. Arguably, I would have seen it, but I jumped when code enforcement called, and I was acting in good faith, and I wanted to do the right thing. So I trespassed on somebody's property and tore down their house that was already falling in. And again, I do want to say that everybody has been good to deal with along the way. If there's any silver lining that I might ask for, the woman who owns the parcel adjacent that has that foundation, I believe her name is, I'm not sure on the first name. I've tried all my channels to track her down and have not been able to. Gentlemen, if y'all should happen to be able to find her in your efforts to now start over and go get that foundation torn down, and if she should have an interest in selling her property, if somebody could reach out to me or make contact, I'd be happy to buy it from her and clean it up for everybody's benefit, since I'm already invested in it. And I believe I could build a house on that property at some point in the future. So if y'all would just keep my name in your records, and if a connection could be made, I'd appreciate that. I'll be glad for you to share my information if you should happen to be able to find Miss Robinson.
Okay, we can do that, Mr. Mangum.
And otherwise, I appreciate y'all's demeanor and process. Your Honor, it is an honest mistake. And all three of these gentlemen, the entire way, have been pleasant and good to deal with. So I harbor no ill will, but I did want to get my voice out there for circumstances that kind of went beyond everybody's control.
Well, I certainly hope that we start adding to the checklist to check those plats. All right. Look at that on these cases, because this won't be the only time this happens. When we're looking at these properties, typically it's not just one house on the street. It's several things in a row that's a problem. So I would like to ask that maybe we add those steps that you learned in this case to a checklist. So case number 2 on today's calendar. Oh, is that your only issue on the court today? It's calendar, Mr. Mangum?
Yes, ma'am. I just appreciate the opportunity to be heard. And again, thanks to the gentleman that I've worked with along the way, in spite of a difficult situation. I think we're all ready to put this one behind us.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, and you may be excused. You can stay if you'd like.
Thank you.